Jonny, hi, great to see you.
Hi, how we doing?
Yeah, no, all good. Obviously, shall we say who you are first, and obviously what you launched?
Absolutely, yeah. So Jonny Stevens, and I launched BetterWithout. So BetterWithout is an app that's focused on helping people discover low and no alcohol drinks. So discover more about producers, more about the different drink styles, food pairing, but also where they can get them from retail and also hospitality.
And what's inspired you to do this? What's inspired you to go out and make a change?
So I think in terms of the actual business, I gave up drinking. I decided to stop drinking. For me, it was a big trigger of anxiety, and I think I wanted to. The alcohol world is very lots of information out there, food pairings, details about how best to try drinks, and I just felt that it was lacking in the world of no and low, and I wanted to make it easier for people when they weren't drinking, that they weren't just having Coke or orange juice and getting those options. I wanted to make it everyone feel comfortable, and if they're going out for dinner, knowing that there's going to be choices for them, and really helping people on that journey. Now that may be someone running a marathon and just wanting to cut back. That could be people who decide just to cut down because they cut down in lockdown, or that could be like myself that's completely decided to stop. So from a wanting to do a business that has a positive impact, but also being able to do a business that really drives change and awareness for what is a new movement and category.
Really interesting. And how you found that progress so far as you've embraced that market?
Full on, very full on. I've always wanted my own business, and I've always been that person that's sort of gone and got the Sunday Times rich list and looked through entrepreneurs' stories, and not necessarily from a money perspective, but just from, I love reading about different people's stories and what they've done, and what people have created, whether that's like Deliveroo or anything like that. I think, it's been received really, really well. I probably did the worst thing of not doing any market research, not speaking to anyone. I just had a vision and I wanted to execute that vision. But it's been received really well, and being received really well from brands, because I think it ties everything nicely together.
And what's success for you? How are you going to define yourself as a success?
I think it's a really interesting one, because I want to be able to know that I've created something that's made a positive impact, made a change, whether that's from a change from driving industry in terms of hospitality's perspective of low and no, or whether that's helping consumers. But being able to have created that community and know that actually, I've always wanted that, something in technology and hospitality, and being able to go, actually, I think walking into a pub one day and seeing either, a logo or something that actually you've made that change, and that's something that you've been behind.
But have you always been a driven, or was this something that emerged over time?
No, it's always been there. My mum will talk the story of where I was, literally 5 years old, selling sweets in the playground, and then selling on eBay at 11, and I worked in the events industry at 12, and so I've always, and then I fell into work at 17. I always wanted my own business. That was definitely something I wanted to do, but I wanted to work alongside other similar businesses first to almost learn the ropes, and you're never going to finish learning. But I think it's always been there. But I massively think I put pressure on myself to try and have that own business, that the more pressure you put on yourself, the less creativity you have. And I think last year I took that step back, and that's almost stopped thinking about an idea, and that's where it came.
So why did you fall into work at 17? Why did you not carry on and just the normal traditional route?
I think I hated school. For me, school was, it's got a mold, that is right for a lot of people, but also not right for another lot of people. So my brother is, chemistry at uni, an accountant, very, that route completely. I'm completely opposite. I think for me, it was wanting to, I felt I always sort of got on with adults and when I was younger. And I think for me, it was that being in that environment, not being in a school environment where I've always thought that you learn more by doing than in textbook and a classroom. And, you could sit behind lessons, but until you're faced with an issue in a live environment, actually, the textbooks are useless. That goes out the window. So for me, it was just, I didn't want to, go to uni and pursue that anymore.
And did you ever feel it as a hindrance, not doing a university degree? That's what I'm getting to here. Was that ever a hindrance to you? Because it's been such a drive, hasn't it? For people
it has. I think I was lucky, very lucky in terms of, so when I was at the Peter Jones Academy, and they were big on mentors and surrounding yourself with mentors and work experience, and then getting into I pitched for a job at 17, and I think thankfully, someone saw the passion and what I want, my character, that when I started, everyone apart from one other person had a degree when I started at the bank out of 15 people. So I've been fortunate that I think I managed to just skirt around that. And then once I was in work, actually, I've actually never done a job interview, and I've never had to write a CV.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy when I think of it.
Are you the exception to the norm, or have you always been just slightly outside the system?
I think outside the system in terms of I've probably fallen into stuff, but I think I'm very much like, I don't set, like going into the bank, I was just like, it was probably not what I wanted to do, but actually it's good experience. And then, going into sort of indicator and that side, was that, the end goal? I don't know, but I think I've almost just taken the opportunities when things have come up. And yeah, I think not turn stuff down.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
And what do you feel as you come now? Because you're a young entrepreneur. Is there anything that daunts you?
What daunts me? I think there is, in terms of growing a business, having staff, having that, being able to, right now we're, small, and being able to do what we want. If I want to go and launch in America, or I want to go and launch there, I just, it's me and one other person, I can do that. But as you scale, there is a lot of pressure and a lot of weight, and taking on that responsibility, and that's all new, from me. So that's again a learning. I think, I'm a big believer in surrounding yourself with good people, good mentors, that you can be open to having those, discussions. We don't know everything, and I think someone once said to me, everyone's winging it all of the time. And I think that, it sort of is, isn't it?
I think that was more true in the old days than it is now.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe not so much now. But I think it is being, it is the pressure of, as well, with the type of thing I'm doing, the pressure of actually something like the app falling over, and you scale user base and suddenly you got 30,000 users and that falls over, what the backlash that you can get from that is massive. So I think but do I sort of have those moments to think about it and then go, that's fine, we'll address that when it comes.
That's funny. Final question: what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Don't sweat the small stuff. There's so much that I remember getting so worked up about, even like presenting, at events with EP and stuff, where it's like the pressure and forgetting that everyone around that table is human and wants you to do well. And I think that is what I would tell myself, is actually don't stress as much about certain situations.
Jonny, fantastic, and I wish you every success. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.